So I want to spend a few moments talking about macro animals. What are macro animals? There are things like termites and ants and spiders and pill bugs and sow bugs. Those are macro animals. Also included in the macro animal category are earthworms. Earthworms are very important in the soil. What they do is they actually burrow through the soil, and in the process of burrowing, they dig channels through the soil, which allows for the movement of water down through the soil. They also carry organic matter with them as they move down through the soil. So let's take a look at the impact of earthworms. So in this cylinder right here, that's denoted nicely with the A horizon, the E horizon, and the B horizon, you can see these horizons quite distinctly. In the next cylinder, this is a cylinder where we've actually added earthworms. And look at this cylinder. Can you see the A, the E, and the B horizon? Are they distinct? No, they're not. So one of the key things that earthworms do, in addition to channeling and carrying down organic matter, is they have a tendency to actually mix the soil. And that's what's happened in this particular cylinder. There are actually 3 different types of worms that you can have, but what we're going to focus on are the earthworms, are the Lumbricus terrestris worms. And what's unique about Lumbricus terrestris is that it can actually channel down or burrow down all the way down to about 5 feet in the soil. So it can move all the way down the soil profile, and this really demonstrates it quite nicely looking at this profile right here. Earthworms are most active during the months of April and May and September and October. So what earthworms do during their active phase is they migrate out of this channel, they come up to the surface, and what they do is they sweep around all that residue that's on the top of the soil surface. They keep their tail sort of in the channel, all right, and they come out and they sweep around all that residue, and they form what's called a midden. A midden is actually the earthworm's home. So during the time of year when they're down deeper in the soil, they'll come up, grab a piece of residue, pull it down into their hole, and that will serve as their food source during the year. So one other aspect that I want to talk about is that the material that earthworms leave behind, their castings are really rich in nutrients. And actually their castings, as you can see from this bag right here, it's called Soil Builder. It says earthworm cast, non-toxic, all natural organic fertilizer. There are those occasions where we are actually interested in trying to get a good idea of the number of soil organisms or soil animals that we can find in the soil. And how do we go about doing that? We do it by a technique called the Berlese funnel. And this is an example of the Berlese funnel. So it consists of 3 components. All right, you have the light source, just a low intensity light bulb essentially. You have the funnel, which is loaded with soil, and then you have the trap at the bottom, which is essentially filled with isopropyl alcohol so that we can trap and preserve the organisms as they fall through the Berlese funnel. So what happens is that the heat from the light bulb starts to dry out the surface of the soil, and as the soil gets drier, the soil animals like soil moisture, so they migrate further down in the funnel. And then what happens is at the base of the funnel here, there's an opening, and these organisms actually, because of the soil drying out, the heat from the light bulb, they actually fall out into this isopropyl alcohol and are preserved. So we can actually count them. This is just an idea of the number of organisms that we actually have found in a particular soil sample.